All right, hi everybody. This is Joshua Angele, and this is my brother Matthew. We've been doing this podcast for a couple of weeks now. At this point, this is our third episode.
Yes, third
Uh,
episode.
yeah, so I'm really excited about this. My birthday's coming up, and so I want to say thank you to everybody that's been on the Discord. Oh, you know what? That was the thing. I wanted to put the Discord link on the Twitch links as well, so that way people could get invited, like could just
You don't want to do that?
log
I mean,
into. No,
okay.
I could do that afterwards and stuff. But yeah, so thank you everybody for on Discord for putting in their input on what I should talk about this week. But I've decided to shake it up a little bit. My birthday is not this Saturday, but next Saturday, April 19th. So I think this episode of this podcast, I want to talk about more about what my plans are. I'm turning 32, and I feel like with a new birthday, like a birthday party, it's another opportunity for me to like showcase what I've been working on, what I'm passionate in, and basically just another opportunity for people to just try things out, for me to try things out, experiment around a little bit, and see what works and what doesn't work. So I think that we can, Matthew, you can ask me any sort of
Yeah.
questions on like what you'd like to see and what you're curious about.
Yeah, so your last birthday, you kind of had like a unofficial demo debut of your game in some respects to some of your friends. So I know you're trying to do that again. What have you brought as some changes to the demo you're going to try to do this year for your birthday?
Yeah, actually, probably the first thing to do is probably just recap exactly what the first demo was actually about.
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of give a very broad overview, I've been working on 11th Hour Hero, actually for maybe more than like a year at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for my birthday party last year, I basically had some set pieces. I had like if you look at like any sort of post I have on social media, it's usually on like that big spaceship with the island that you're on. Like basically the spaceship is like overlooking it, kind of thing, right? So I had that set piece, and then I also had the boss. So the game itself, the demo that I had last year, was literally just okay. You look at this big spaceship that's threatening everything, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, okay, cool, it's time to like fight the boss, like immediately, like right now. And so there was only like one gun that you had that people could pick up. Well,
Yeah.
everybody could pick up their own gun essentially, but there was like no avatars. The boss actually, looks about the same from last year to this year at this point. But yeah, like that was it was really the last year was just a test to see okay what would fighting a boss in VR like look like with that grand scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So big inspiration was Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, where like you're just a tiny little guy fighting against like this big
Yeah.
snake boss thing, right? And I wanted to replicate that in VR. I think that was like a pretty big success. Like that actually worked out well. And one of the things why I continued to work on this game is last year I was in this room. I was demoing this game. Um, yeah, I was telling so I had one person in the VR headset, the other person up on Twitch, up on the TV,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like telling people like how to actually play the game, right? And uh, yeah, like I had to leave the room because there was like more people that was coming into the birthday party. So I'm like, just stay right there. I'll be right back. And so I left to pick up the people, came back, and I saw that these two people actually switched places. They had taught each other how to play the game because the guy that was just playing on the TV, I actually had to put on the headset and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, and they, basically they beat the boss, right? And switched places, and then went and tried to fight the boss again. And I was like, okay, like the fact that they did that without me being in the room is a really, really good sign that that
Yeah.
was like something that was pretty captivating to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted to, continue working on this experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I talked about what the demo was like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So the demo this year. So now I actually have like the procedurally generated rooms. It's all on like different layouts. I have multiple guns now that you can find in rooms and pick up. I have a couple of abilities that you can apply, and so
Hmm.
if you just find them, you could just pick them up. And then you can also like drop any guns. You can drop abilities, so that way, if somebody else you feel like needs it a little bit more than you do, they can go ahead and like you could just basically trade kind of thing, right? But just like a low fidelity trade. You just drop things and pick them up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like CS:GO, right? I know you're a big CS:GO
Yeah.
guy and stuff. So that's like one of the big, So those are like three key like things. Right now, it's like an actual full one instead of just going from 0 to 100, going from like okay, you see things messing up to like then just going to the boss. Right now, you can actually like kind of get your bearings a little bit, right? Level yourself up, and
Yeah.
then be prepared for the boss. Uh, and then, but yeah, so like there's that, and then I've been working on that. Like that's the demo that I have for GDC.
Hmm.
So I want to talk more about the difference between GDC and this birthday party
Yeah.
that's coming up. So for this birthday party, I want to make sure that I have like the other like key mechanic to this game, which is making sure that people can make decisions on what kind of hero they want to be.
Hmm.
And so one of the games that I like playing with you and Elizabeth and Stevie, is those like the Man of Medan game, where basically it's like a movie game. Each person takes control over like one or two characters, and you have to make like all these like emotional decisions or narrative based decisions.
Hmm.
And I want to introduce that into this roguelike game. And so I thought up of a pretty cool idea. I think this is going to be spoiler territory for basically everybody on this call, but that just means that if you are paying attention here, then you'll just you'll know the ins and outs of the thing already, and you'll
Yeah.
just be able to get like a really fast time. But yeah, so my idea was, yeah, we could. So one room would be like the laboratory. There'd be like all these test tubes in there with these like beings in there. Kind of like think of like Mewtwo in the
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
Pokemon first movie kind of thing. Why
Yeah.
he's just like, who am I? Like all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially, you're in this laboratory. You see all these test tube things, and you go to the main terminal in the center of the room, and it just it's just a checklist of just okay, like we've gone all the sacrificial beings together in test tubes. We've figured out a way to transfer their souls. Yeah, like their souls are prepared to enter this new vessel. Would you like to proceed? That is so your choice is okay. Like, do you like finish off this like weird creepy experiment kind of thing, right? Like where
Yeah.
you sacrifice, like you're not the ones that made you that set up these people to be sacrificed, right? But they are ultimately you're the one that's going to be that has the choice to press that button.
Yeah.
And if you press it, the vessel ends up being like this super good gun that will be super helpful for like fighting the boss at the end,
Hmm.
right at the end of this one. So the consequence of doing this though is that these souls that transfer to these vessels, there are these shadows essentially that are like the remnants. Like the maybe it turns out that the transfer process wasn't as smooth as you thought it
Hmm.
would be. So these shadows would come up
Yeah.
somewhere in like another room, and they're angry because I don't know they're like you're basically sacrificing uh, beings, like living things, for this war, essentially, right? And may not have been their choice, right? Or maybe they like left something behind that they
Yeah.
didn't
They're
want.
vengeful spirits. Yeah.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah. And so then they'll spawn in, and now they'll just attack anything on sight because they're just like that angry, right?
Hmm.
So it could be where like if you have another friend that's in another and that disappears that happened to be in that room where all those spirits come in, I mean you're just kind of like might have screwed over your friend at that point.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like it might be like at least when I say it now, like it's already spoiled a little bit, right? But like when you're playing the game, like that might not like it's like it might take a little bit to like make that one to one connection kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're playing by yourself, I mean, you could just do the thing, you get the vessel, and then you're like you get that mega good gun, you walk out of the room, and then you see the vengeful spirits like coming down the hallway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the delay a little bit in terms of like, yeah, they don't have to be released in that room, but it
Mm.
could be in a different room, a couple rooms down, right? Because then maybe you'll see it first, maybe you won't see it first, so maybe catch you at like a bad timing, right? I
Right.
think that is interesting. Have you thought about any benefits to not doing the experiment, like other than just not, because if you get a benefit and also a downside to finishing the experiment,
Mm.
people could be like, it could be debatable whether people are like think it's worth it at the end. People may think it's definitely worth it. You should always do it. Will there be like a benefit for not finishing the experiment? Have you thought about that at all?
That's a good question. I actually have not really thought about like
Okay.
a benefit to not doing it kind of thing, right? Like I feel like you like I think when I was thinking like okay, so there like the other bad side of like doing the experiment is that so you have these enemies that spawn in during the level, but then also when you fight the boss, these enemies like spawn in again,
Mm-hmm.
and they also like you. So now you're not just taking down the boss, but you're taking down all these other enemies that may make it a lot more difficult to actually like you know fight that whole boss thing in general, right?
Gotcha.
Um, but I could definitely see it where it's just like actually, you know what, like to get the fastest time, like you actually do need to complete, uh, that laboratory thing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what you can always do is you can always do a short term, and versus long term kind of benefit. Have you ever played the Bioshock games?
mm-mm,
So in Bioshock, they kind of have this like whole morality decision, right? Because you have like the little sisters, and you can either harvest them, which is like the evil thing, you kill them, but you like take their power,
yeah,
or you could save them.
yeah,
And so if you harvest them, you get like more immediate power, essentially.
yeah,
You just get stronger, but in the long term, if you harvest all of them rather than saving all of them, you actually don't end up as powerful. Because if you save them, they give you like a little boon, but like it's not as good
yeah,
like immediately. But you get a really big like buff at the end of the game if you save all of them. But
uh,
that's the thing though, if you harvest any of them at all, like
yeah,
even like the very first one at the very beginning of the game, then you can't get that good buff at the end, right?
right,
But that's
yeah,
like a good, that's like a, you still get like a buff like each time, right? No matter which one you pick, but like, there's definitely like a long term payoff to like doing the good decisions essentially at the end. And I think
yeah,
that's in all the games, but I definitely know that's in like the first.
right.
So that could always be something you play with too.
Yeah,
Something
I think
useful.
like for something where like right now where I'm just trying to do like this thing for like the demo slash like the
Mm-hmm.
for the birthday party. Yeah, I mean how can I do like a long term thing when the when the long term thing is literally still just a few minutes long kind of thing, right?
Sure. I mean, well,
Um,
it's
but
just as you're building out this whole morality system, or like the decision making and all that stuff.
mm,
I feel like
yeah,
it always feels bad to like have an option that you just shouldn't do because it's either like not important to the gameplay or not important to like the player that doesn't care about the morals of the
yeah,
character
it's
that
like
is you're
we're
meant
like
to shoot
offered
and
a
kill
choice, and
everything.
then it's like if you take it, it's like oh yeah, you should you're bad and you should feel bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get what you mean, and I do think like in the overarching game itself, where you are like basically, yeah, I kind of like aura farming, right? But you could be aura farming badness or goodness at this point, right?
yeah.
But I feel like it's tough because like um, but that's the thing. Actually, like there could be an opposite thing of like instead of like doing like an experiment like this, right? It could be something where like oh like you're like somebody you enter this room and somebody's like sick, right? And they're
Hmm.
like oh yeah, like I need like these materials or these ingredients. And these things may be hard to do, may be hard to find. It may be something where you may not even be able to do it in one run, right? Like you actually have to like like you just save up these ingredients over the long term a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you trade that off, like if you do it, if you're able to like actually have the patience to like kind of do that for a while, like you could get like a pretty big boon and like good karma after that, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. Like I feel like I definitely would need to really think hard about like what kind of like scenarios are like actually like which ones I think are like like morally like cool and interesting to do and like
Yeah.
mechanically interesting to do and is something that is like not difficult to implement because that
Yeah.
is in a multiplayer game like literally like basically everything is like more difficult which
Yeah.
is a huge pain in the butt and I do have a in some sense of the mind I am like kind of like racing against time a little bit too.
Hmm.
So like I do need to work on things that like kind of like where it's all like good trade-offs kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Um, well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, a lot of new things in this demo, though. So that sounds pretty cool, and these are pretty good ideas. Were there other things that you're working on for this demo that you're hoping to show people, or?
Yeah. So like been get a lot of bug fixes that I want to be able to get in. Also, I think when it comes like the overarching level, like I do have like the space elevator thing, which is just a long cube
Hmm.
that I would like to have. So I definitely want to like with this laboratory thing idea that I have, like I want to add in some cool like thematic like animations where it's just like you have like all these test tubes, kind of like you're basically like if you go with the experiment, all the test tubes like they disappear, right? And then you just like have all these bodies just like flop on the floor essentially. I mean like kind of like definitely just gotta give like a weird thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think same thing with the space elevator. I actually at least like it might actually just be more of like a teleporter, kind of like Metroid Dread, where you just like activate this machine and then it just whirls around and then you just like instantly at the arena, right?
Yeah.
Like that might be like an easier, but I definitely want things to be like maybe slightly more polished if that's possible, right?
Yeah. I gotcha.
I think the other thing is like these enemies as well that I was alluding to, like these spirits. I've definitely found like a pretty like cool uh like statue thing that I'm gonna have make it move. Um, and it's definitely going to be kind of like I am pretty excited because this is going to add like a kind of like a creepy element, and it wasn't really something where I wasn't even thinking about making this game creepy.
Uh huh.
But that's like once I add this in, I found some like good zombie animations too, where like
Okay.
yeah, people are like walking around like this, and then their sprinting is just like a crawling thing
Yeah.
that like they could do on the floor, right? Or if I can make him do that on the ceiling, that'd be pretty sick too. But
Yeah.
then I have to add in like a falling animation from the ceiling, like that, like that'd be, I'm like, I'm like trying to figure out like a, okay, like let's then, what can I want to add myself too much work, right? But I do
Yeah.
want to add in cool things, like things that I think would invigorate me and also like would just be like sick and awesome to like for other people to see and stuff. At the same time, too, I also have like no sounds in this game right now, and I
Mhm.
don't think I'll have any sounds going on
Yeah.
in the actual like birthday demo either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all these things will like come in time. All the things that you don't have now, right? I mean, but I do think it's like you've built out a lot of the bones for this game to be like replayable,
Yeah,
right? And you still gotta like work on like really like buffing up a lot more like different types of enemies and stuff like that.
yeah,
But then I think never forget about having like putting the cinematography kind of part into the game
yeah,
because at the end of the day, it's like. Um, if you're not gonna make it very like cinematic in any kind of way,
yeah,
then like everything else needs to be like really, really, really good.
yeah,
And it's not that like the cinematography like is supposed to overshadow other things, but it's just supposed to like add to the experience.
yeah.
And it's like
It's just evoke like some sort of feelings, right? And
exactly,
if
yeah,
it's not making if the game's not making you feel anything, then like what's the point of the game
yeah,
in general? Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I think these are all things like on your radar, right? But just it's about getting to each thing in its like right time, essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
just trying to like take down like the best like bang for bucks essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think the good thing is like you're still early in the game. That like any advancement you make is like basically huge for like how the
yeah,
game turns out.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
either any one of those like 20 things you mentioned. If you work on it like or do it, then it's like okay, that's like a big like check mark on something that like is definitely necessary in the final product. So
right.
um, yeah.
So that's actually, I feel like that might actually be a pretty unintentional good segue into this next bit, which is so one of the exciting things I did this week was I actually did get 11th Hour Hero, the demo I've been working on, basically up on itch.io. So for you people that are listening into this thing, whether that be on Twitch or on YouTube later on, yeah, you can go to willfire.itch, no, willfire19.itch.io/11th hour hero with dashes. And I'll post a link on the descriptions on both of these things. On Twitch, you should be able to find the link under my link bios at this point. And yeah, you can download the game on there. The password, it is right now the page is password protected. It's 11th hour hero, no spaces, no caps or anything like that, and it's the number 11, not the word 11. So yeah, you can go ahead and download the demo right now, and you can see basically what the demo was like at GDC. It has like a weekly leaderboard, weekly challenge. Like I don't even know what the layout is because I just changed the seed
Mhm.
on the cloud.
Okay,
And
okay.
so now the layout is completely new. I have no idea. There's nobody's logged any times
Cool.
as far as I know, kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's it's available to try out, kind of thing. So go ahead and give it a shot, and feel free to send me some thoughts and stuff. Because like you just said, this is very early days. Every single update that I make is going to be like a pretty huge one. It's
Yeah.
going to be like the early Minecraft days where like that Minecraft movie just came out, and I was just reminiscing. I'm just like, man, I liked Minecraft before the hunger mechanic
Yeah.
came in.
You knew
And
about it really early on.
yeah, that was like back in like I
Alpha
think
or something.
yeah, I think this was it was still in beta. Like so alpha was there was an alpha version. I didn't start playing until beta,
Okay.
but there was still like when it came in, there was no hunger, there was no experience points, and there was no magic in the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I remember you were super
Yeah,
early
yeah, it was pretty.
adopter, in some sense.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and so like this game is, I'm not gonna pretend like that this game is gonna be like Minecraft or anything like that. Like I think it's gonna be hard to like find like be I can plan for success like that, but I can't. Well, I'm not expecting it either, kind of thing. Right? I'm just trying to build like a game that's like fun and cool to play with people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. With that said, like, but yeah, like I definitely wants people's thoughts. I basically at GDC, the other thing I learned was that like I need to figure out like what people like to play on mouse and keyboard uh, versus gamepad like Xbox controllers and stuff.
Hmm.
Because there's definitely like it's going to be a little bit difficult to make sure that those controllers all like feel and act the same kind of thing, right? And it'd be good to know like what kind of people would like to play this on controllers, so that way I can just prioritize like some bug tasks and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, so that it's exciting. It's also a little bit relieving too, because when I started this in late January, I was just like, okay, like like I've given myself like a good amount of time to work on this game like full time this year, and I think at this point I'm like, should I have like do I like the demo itself, right? Is this like a little bit late to have this come out now at this point, right? Or is this like still like early kind of thing, right? When is it too early? When is it like too late, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like this is actually like a pretty good time, and I also have like a pretty good process of like building the game, being able to like make uploads. Like this isn't my first rodeo on that stuff, so I do think like it's like I think it's more about like just making sure that I can share what I'm doing, that I can like kind of keep track of like general sense of like, okay, like kind of vibe check kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Throughout the building the process, the building this game. Yeah, and basically just let it ride to see where the hell this thing goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So for this birthday party, any big plans for 32, or how you feeling about it?
Yeah, 32. I mean, I feel great. Like, I mean, so, personally wise, like, I feel, uh, I've never felt better, like, body wise, kind of thing. I know, but the people here may not know. But I've been going to the gym like 2 to 3 times a week at this point. So been getting a lot stronger. Matthew and I, we play volleyball on the
Yeah.
weekends and stuff. So it's always good to like be able to go on the court and know that I can jump like a lot higher now. I feel like I'm working on this game, which means I feel like I'm actually doing like the things I like want to do instead of I'd say like grinding out on like a corporate job, which was like it was good like to a point, but now like I've worked so much on making my corporate like my boss's dreams come true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now it's time for me to be my own boss and like, really just like be like, this is what I think is valuable. This is what I think is really cool. This is what I know I can bring. This is no way. This is what I know I can build. Like, let's just get it out there, and if people really align to it, then I have total confidence that I can deliver.
Yeah.
That wasn't like that's why I quit because I'm like, yeah, I know I can do this, and I know I can build this out. But the ultimate question is not even like what to build exactly, but it is a just trying to figure out like the vibe of like what people want to a degree and what I want to, so that way I can have these things kind of like meld in as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, I am still my own boss. I still
Yeah.
want to build what I want to build, and so it's still like my hope that what I want to build is what people will want to.
Yeah. I always think that when making stuff, that I think that's always like a hard line to kind of like figure out exactly. But I also think at the end of the day, like, you've played a lot of games, like, you like things for a reason, and you're trying to make a game that you like because every game that you've liked, other people have liked too. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, you don't have any like real deep cuts, like of a game that no one else hasn't like played, right?
Yeah.
So I know all the stuff that you're trying to do is like only making the game better, essentially. So
Yeah, yeah. I think at the end of the day, like I like the game that I'm making right now, I don't think is like really all that much different from some of these other games. In some ways, it is just like a melding of these like genres per se, kind of thing, right? Just
mhm.
be like at the end of the day, it is kind of like just a Halo campaign, a little bit. Um, but something that you can just continue replaying, and then also like so we already described the scenario of this like lab experiment that's sacrificing souls to make weapons like extremely powerful, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's like not that much different from like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right,
yeah,
with Philosopher's Stones and stuff like that. So I feel like all this stuff is still like a lot of like inspirations like taken from a bunch of these other places, right?
hmm
And so, but that's the thing. It's just like if I can build like a experience where you're going through a bunch of these like different like scenarios, uh, and where like each one is a little bit different, but still like as epic, and you still have like this boss that there's the overarching like the thing that you need to complete in order to save your world, right? Like I feel like that is also like just a really nice framework, but also something that is like that's going to like challenge you, but you challenge it with friends as well. That's going to it's just like like instead of like playing Marvel Rivals or Overwatch, right? It'd be like, okay, like let's just do this mini campaign thing, right?
yeah,
This mini adventure roller coaster thingy.
Yeah.
and just it's like, okay, we have fun with this game for a little bit, and then it's like, okay, you know what, let's play Fall Guys now,
Yeah.
or okay, let's do another round of Marvel Rivals or
Yeah,
something.
but then you can
Yeah.
always come back to it because it's it's
Yeah.
randomized, it's different.
Yeah,
Like a Left 4 Dead.
you
kind
come
of
back
thing,
in the next week. It's a new weekly challenge thing, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, what scenarios like coming up now, right? Like, oh, like what monsters like am I gonna get jumped up on? Like what which enemies am I gonna jump on to, right?
Yeah.
Who am I gonna save? Who am I gonna screw over? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like and each week it's gonna be something a little bit different.
Yeah. That's good. All good things to hear.
Mhm.
That there's there's progress each and every week. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we sign off, log off, or anything?
Yeah, like and subscribe. Like, I don't know. Have you ever wanted to say that? Like, have you?
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Well, yeah. Well, no. I mean, no. I'm not doing any like Factor 12, like ad reads or anything like that.
Oh no! But you're
Yeah.
you're like advertising yourself, though. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. But I mean, like the like and subscribe is actually like a thing that you need to say because people actually won't like or subscribe unless if you actually say
Yeah,
it.
you gotta
Like
bring
that
up
is-
the Amazon Prime like free, whatever subscription. every
Yeah,
week.
but that's an ad, and we're not, being sponsored right now or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously, like and subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not sure how many people have actually really seen this podcast quite yet. But I know the first episode got like 4 or 5 views. Last week's
Nice.
episode. Yeah, I'm assuming got around the same time. I actually haven't checked, so I feel bad now. But I will say, like, anybody that's like listening into this, right? I think this is the start of something really cool. And I'm really excited to get to the point where I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, this is the start, because it'll just be like, okay, yeah, now we're really in the midst of it, right? Or this is just
Yeah.
the end, or maybe even like, okay, now the end is the beginning. Like now we're actually, when there's the second start, I think that'd be really cool
Yeah.
too, and stuff like that. But yeah, we're kind of like a little far from that. So, but at this point, yeah, I mean, everybody that's been listening into this, has been a lot of fun for me. I think it's been a lot of fun for you to like
Yeah.
come in for these podcasts as well and stuff. So, yeah, absolutely like and subscribe on Twitch too. I appreciate everybody that comes into these streams and watches. And yeah, be on the lookout for like new updates to 11th Hour Hero. Let me know if you need help getting onto itch.io and on starting like these challenges and stuff like that. And hopefully next week, maybe. Well, I guess next week we'll probably talk about, next week will be the day before my birthday, so
Yeah.
we'll actually talk about more about specifically what's in this demo.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, maybe next week we can talk about, hey, what the layout was like, and what kind of fast times are real, like
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
there and stuff like that.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think with that, we'll sign off.
All right.
So
See you
yeah,
guys.
thank
Thanks
you
for
everybody.
watching.
Yeah, and see you all next week.